Welcome to Unit 2, Lesson 4, Equations and their Solutions. Our learning goal in this lesson is to recall what we know about solutions to equations. We have two learning targets in this lesson. Please keep these in mind as we work through the practice problems, because at the end of the lesson, you should feel comfortable making these two statements. If at the end of the lesson you do not feel comfortable with one or both of these statements, then please use class time to ask for clarification so that you are prepared for success before we move on to the next lesson. Learning target number 1, I can explain what it means for a value or pair of values to be a solution to an equation. Number 2, I can find solutions to equations by reasoning about a situation or by using algebra. Our first vocabulary term is constraint, a limitation on the possible values of variables in a model, often expressed by an equation or inequality, or by specifying that the value must be an integer. For example, distance above the ground, d, in meters, might be constrained to be non-negative, expressed by d is greater than or equal to 0. And our other vocabulary term, model, a mathematical or statistical representation of a problem from science, technology, engineering, work, or everyday life, used to solve problems and make decisions. Our first practice problem for Lesson 4. An artist is selling children's crafts. Necklaces cost $2.25 each. So I'm going to underline that information. And bracelets cost $1.50 each. So I'm going to underline that information. Select all, which means there can be more than one correct answer. The combinations of necklaces and bracelets that the artist could sell for exactly $12. So what we're going to do is check each of these. We're going to multiply the number of necklaces times $2.25. We're going to multiply the number of bracelets by $1.50. And then it will need to equal $12 exactly. So I can go ahead and write this N times 225 plus B times 150 equals 12. We need this to be true in order for an answer to be correct. So now we'll look. First we have 5 necklaces. So 225 times 5, and 1 bracelet, so that's 150 times 1, $2.25 times 5 is $11.25, and $1.50 times 1 is $1.50. $11.25 plus $1.50 is $12.75. That is not 12, so A is not a possible combination. Now we look at B. We have 225 times 2 plus 150 times 5. 225 times 2 is 450, and 150 times 5 is 750. 450 plus 750 is $12. That's what we needed it to equal, so B is a correct possible combination. Choice C. We have 225 times 3 necklaces plus $1.50 times 3 bracelets. $2.25 times 3 is $6.75. $1.50 times 3 is $4.50. $6.75 plus $4.50 is $11.25. That is not $12, so C is not a possible combination. Option D. We have $2.25 times 4 necklaces plus $1.50 times 2 bracelets. $2.25 times 4 is $9, and $1.50 times 2 is $3. So $9 plus $3 is $12. That is what we wanted. So 4 necklaces and 2 bracelets is another possible combination. Option E. We have $2.25 times 3 necklaces plus $1.50 times 5 bracelets. $2.25 times 3 is $6.75. $1.50 times 5 is $7.50, and $6.75 plus $7.50 is $14.25. That is not $12, so E is not a possible combination. Choice F. We have $2.25 times 6 necklaces plus $1.50 times no bracelets. $2.25 times 6 is $13.50. $1.50 times 0 is 0. So $13.50 is not $12. So F is not a possible combination. And our last option, G, is no necklaces. So that's $2.25 times 0 plus 8 bracelets, $1.50 times 8. $2.25 times 0 is 0. $1.50 times 8 is $12. That is what we were looking for, so G is a possible combination. So this artist could sell 2 necklaces and 5 bracelets and make $12. They could also sell 4 necklaces and 2 bracelets and make $12. And they could also sell no necklaces and 8 bracelets and also make $12. If you have any questions about how to solve a practice problem like this, please use class time to ask for further clarification so you are prepared as we move forward on to the next question. Our next practice problem says, Diego is collecting dimes and nickels in a jar. He has collected $22.25 so far. The relationship between the number of dimes and nickels and the amount of money in dollars is represented by the equation 0.10 times D plus 0.05 times N equals $22.25. Select all the values of D and N that could be solutions to the equation. So again, notice it says all, so you have to check every possible answer to see if it's correct. When we look at this, the reason that we have 0.10D is because every dime is worth 10 cents. The reason we have 0.05N is because every nickel is worth 5 cents. So what we're going to do is substitute the first number in each pair in for D for dimes. We're going to substitute the second number in each pair in for N for nickels. And then we're going to see if that makes $22.25. So first, we're going to have 0.10 times 0 plus 0.05 times 445. Now anything times 0 is 0. And 0.05 times 445 equals 2225. That is a true statement. So A is a possible combination. Diego could have no dimes and 445 nickels. Choice B says we have half of a dime and 435 nickels. This is a problem where we can use logic to know that this is not a possible solution, because we can't have half of a dime. We either have a dime and we have 10 cents, or we don't have a dime and we have no money. So B, we can't have half of a dime. So because of the context of the situation, we know that B is not an answer. Next, choice C, we have 233 dimes and 21 nickels. So we would say 0.10 times 233 plus 0.05 times 21, and that would need to equal $22.25. 0.10 times 23 is going to be $23.30. 5 cents times 21 nickels would be $1.05. $23.30 plus $1.05 would be $24.35. That does not equal $22.25, so it cannot be a correct answer. Choice D, we're going to have 10 cents times 118 dimes plus 5 cents times 209 nickels, and that would need to equal $22.25. 10 cents times 118 dimes would be $11.80. 5 cents times 209 nickels would be $10.45. $11.80 plus $10.45 would be $22.25. That does equal the amount we were looking for, so that is a true statement, and D is a possible combination of dimes and nickels that Diego has collected. And our last choice, choice E, we have 10 cents times 172 dimes plus 5 cents times 101 nickels would need to equal $22.25. 10 cents times 172 dimes would be $17.20. 5 cents times 101 nickels is $5.05. And $17.20 plus $5.05 would be $22.25. That would equal the amount we're looking for, so E is also a possible combination of dimes and nickels that Diego could have. If you have any questions about how to solve this practice problem, please use class time now to ask for further clarification so that you are set up for success as we move forward to the next practice problem. In our next practice problem, volunteer drivers are needed to bring 80 students to the championship baseball game. Drivers either have cars, which can seat 4 students, or vans, which can seat 6 students. The equation 4c plus 6v equals 80 describes the relationship between the number of cars, C, and the number of vans, V, that can transport exactly 80 students. Select all statements that are true about the situation. So notice that it says all. That means we have to check each answer because there can be more than one correct answer. Option A says if 12 cars go, then 2 vans are needed. Well, cars represents C, and vans is represented by V. So we're going to take 12 and substitute that where we have C, and we're going to take 2 and substitute that where we have V. And if this is true, then it would equal 80. 4 times 12 is 48, and 6 times 2 is 12. "48 plus 12 is 60, and 60 does not equal 80. This is a false statement, so A is not a correct answer. Choice B. The pair C equals 14 and V equals 4 is a solution to the equation. So we're going to substitute 14 where we had C, and we're going to substitute 4 where we had V, and this needs to equal 80. 4 times 14 is 56, and 6 times 4 is 24. 56 plus 24 is 80, and 80 does equal 80. This makes a true statement, so B is a correct solution. Choice C. If 6 cars go and 11 vans go, there will be extra space. In order for there to be extra space, this would need to be less than 80. So we substitute 6 for C, and we substitute 11 for V, and this needs to be less than 80 to have extra space. 4 times 6 is 24. 6 times 11 is 66. And 24 plus 66 is 90. 90 is not less than 80, so C cannot be a correct solution. Choice D. 10 cars and 8 vans isn't enough to transport all the students. So this would mean that 10 cars and 8 vans would carry less than 80, meaning there's not enough to transport all the students. So we substitute 10 in for C, and we substitute 8 in for V, and this would need to be less than 80, meaning it would only carry less than 80, so there wasn't enough for the 80. 4 times 10 is 40. 6 times 8 is 48. 40 plus 48 is 88. 88 is not less than 80, so it would be more than enough, so D is not a correct solution. Choice E. If 20 cars go, no vans are needed. So we would substitute 20 in for C, and this would need to be greater than or equal to 80, because we could either have more than 80 seats, and that would be more than enough to support all the students, or it could be exactly 80 seats, and that would be just enough to take all the students. 4 times 20 is 80, and 80 is equal to 80, so E is a correct solution. If they have 20 cars, they don't need any vans to go. And finally, choice F, 8 vans and 8 cars are the numbers that meet the constraints in this situation. So in this situation, we need it to be exactly 80 seats. So we can substitute 8 for C and 8 for V, and that would need to equal 80. 4 times 8 is 32, and 6 times 8 is 48, and 32 plus 48 is 80. 80 does equal 80, so this is a true statement. So if you have any questions about how to solve this practice problem, please use class time now to ask for further clarification so that you are set up for success as we move forward. Our last practice problem says the drama club is printing t-shirts for its members. The printing company charges a certain amount for each shirt plus a setup fee of $40. There are 21 students in the drama club. So, if we look at this, we've got a setup fee of $40. We've got 21 students and a certain amount for each shirt. So what we're looking at is the total equaling some amount. So we'll say X times 21 students plus the $40 setup fee. Number one, if there are 21 students in the club and the t-shirt order costs a total of $187, how much does each shirt cost? Show your reasoning. So for number one, we know that we have 21 students times an unknown amount of money per shirt plus the $40 setup fee, and they told us the total is going to be $187. The first thing we would do is we want to get X by itself on one side and a number on the other side. To move numbers from one side of the equation to the other side, we need to do the opposite of what is there so that we undo it, and we need to do it to both sides so that it stays equal. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of the number on the left that is not attached to the X. So the opposite of plus 40 is minus 40. We're going to do that on both sides. So now the plus 40 minus 40 cancels each other out, and this becomes 21x equals 187 minus 40 is 147. Again, we want to end up with x on one side and a number on the other side. So we're going to do the opposite of what is there, and we're going to do it to both sides. 21x is multiplication. The opposite of multiplying by 21 is dividing by 21. And we do that to both sides. So 21 divided by 21 is 1. So on the left, we just have x. And on the right, 147 divided by 21 is 7. So this means each shirt costs $7. Number 2, the equation 201.50 equals F plus 6.50 times 21 represents the cost of printing the shirts at a second printing company. Find the solution to the equation and state what it represents in this situation. So for number 2, we have 201.50, which is going to be $201.50, equals F, which is going to be the setup fee, plus $6.50 times 21. The $6.50 would be the price per shirt, and the 21 would be 21 shirts for 21 students. First thing we'll do is multiply $6.50 times 21. So this becomes $201.50 equals F plus $136.50. Again, we want to end up with our variable F on one side and a number on the other side. We can move this $136.50 from the right side to the left side by doing the opposite and doing it to both sides. The opposite of adding $136.50 is subtracting $136.50. And remember to do it to both sides so that it stays equal. $201.50 minus $136.50 equals $65. They want to know what this represents in this situation, and this represents the setup cost is $65. If you have any questions about how to solve any of the practice problems from Lesson 4, please use class time now to ask for further clarification so that you are set up for success as we move forward into the next lesson.